In the black of night, the city slept. But somewhere, just beyond the flicker of a lone street lamp, the truth lay scarred into cold concrete. It was a scream cut short, a single drop of blood in the dust, a secret buried under a facade of normality. In the first breathless seconds, you see only a shattered frame, a body, a distorted face, a hand outstretched, and from that image alone, you know the world you thought you understood has been turned inside out. This is inside the mind of the criminal who fooled the whole country. It happened in a quiet town where everyday life carried on under the illusion of peace. The victim was a respected public figure, beloved, trusted, carrying a reputation spotless in the eyes of the nation. Their home stood on a suburban street with neat lawns and streetlights that glowed soft yellow after dusk. Friends, neighbors, colleagues, all nodded politely when they passed in the morning, innocently exchanging banal greetings, unaware that deception lived among them. The suspect was no shadowy stranger, no faceless intruder. No, the suspect was someone familiar, a close confidant, someone whose name stirred admiration and whose charm disarmed suspicion. The suspect moved through the same coffee shops, shook the same hands, dropped the same polite smiles, embodying normality so convincingly that the shock, when it came, would reverberate far beyond the crime scene. The night began unremarkably. The suspect had left the victim's company earlier that evening under the guise of routine business. A quick meeting, a friendly call, a nightcap. The streets were calm. The wind carried the scent of damp pavement, and distant streetlights painted long shadows on empty sidewalks. No sirens, no scuffle, no frantic phone call, nothing to betray what was about to unfold. Somewhere in that calm, the suspect returned, but not as they left. Their steps were measured, quiet, their breathing steady. When they entered the house, the door made no sound on its unlubricated hinges. Inside, the victim lay asleep in their bedroom, unaware. The first strike was swift, a silenced weapon, pressed close, a single muffled crack in the darkness. The suspect's hand trembled for a fraction of a second, just long enough for death to seize the room. The body fell not with a scream, but a soft exhalation, life slipping away in silence. The room remained unnaturally still. Moonlight seeped through the curtains, casting silver lines across blood-soaked sheets. The only audible sound, the suspect's own breathing, shallow and deliberate. Carefully, methodically, they moved. Gloves still on. They searched drawers, pockets, not for jewelry or money, but for papers, documents, a ledger. Something to destroy, something to hide. Then came the cleanup wipes, plastic bags, a single trash bin emptied in the early hours, and the residual scent of bleach in the air. No fingerprints, no sign of forced entry, no evidence of struggle. The crime scene was eerily pristine. Morning light would find only a trashed bedroom, a shattered phone screen, a toppled lamp, nothing that screamed homicide. Just a tragic accident, perhaps a heart attack, a fall, something plausible. That was the genius behind the act. Total normality. When the body was discovered by a maid arriving late, or a concerned friend dropping by, it seemed like just another tragic end to a respected life. In the suspect, they wore grief as convincingly as they had worn innocence. Tears, trembling voice, disbelief. They were the friend, the mourner, the betrayed confidant, and in that role, they fooled the entire country. Investigators arrived. The tape was placed around the house. Specialists dusted for prints, none that belonged to the suspect. Analysts swabbed for gunshot residue, nothing conclusive. No eyewitnesses, no surveillance footage from the street. No one heard anything. The first report said, probable natural death. Signs of trauma inconclusive. The body was embalmed. The official records closed fast. The case was shelved, but one curious detail refused to vanish. A single torn piece of paper found under the mattress, partly soaked in blood, smeared with something unidentifiable, bearing a faint imprint of numbers. The cleaning crew had missed it. The pathologists flagged it for further testing. Something in their gut told them this was not over. A second, third wave of investigators picked up the thread. Forensic teams worked day and night. Digital experts scoured phone records, financial transactions, emails. The suspect's phone showed nothing. No calls, no messages. Neatly wiped. But one backup, a dated copy stored on the cloud, revealed a deleted file. An address book with names circled, cryptic notes beside each number. The victim's name was just one among many. Others included politicians, businessmen, celebrities, all connected in subtle ways. The ledger recovered from a hidden safe deposit box opened under warrant bore the suspect's signature. It was filled with payments. Hush money whispered through coded entries. Payments that ended abruptly the night of the murder. And among the entries, the victim's name appeared under Project Closed. Suddenly, what seemed like a simple tragedy twisted into something far darker. Blackmail, coercion, secrets, power. The suspect had built an empire of silence, controlling livelihoods with fear. The victim had tried to escape, refused to comply. The meeting, the return home. Not innocent after all. The murder was the final negotiation. As investigators dug deeper, they discovered flaws. Glaring CCTV cameras outside the victim's house had blank hours that night. Betty dead, as if intentionally disabled. Witnesses who saw a dark sedan parked nearby vanished. Some moved abroad suddenly, others unreachable. One taxi driver remembered picking up a nervous passenger at dawn, voice shaky, covered hands in gloves. Destination unknown. He passed a description. Tall, medium build, a faint cologne smell. It matched the suspect's general appearance, but by the time police moved on that lead, the taxi driver was gone too. Media seized on the story. The public mourned. Headlines floated theories. Was this a lone criminal, or part of a bigger network? But attention faded fast. The trial never happened. Charges collapsed under lack of physical evidence, alibis constructed with surgical precision, witnesses intimidated, records erased. The suspect was released, declared innocent. Freed, a collective sigh of relief that the horrifying chapter was closed. The nation exhaled, but not all secrets vanish with courtroom doors. And yet, a single video surfaced months later. A shaky, blurred clip, filmed by a neighbor across the street. It showed a figure entering the house, moments before the murder. Someone with the same silhouette as the suspect, carrying a small briefcase. In the reflection of the window, a face distorted, unrecognizable. The prosecution tried to admit it in court. Judges refused, citing poor quality. Sign it, didn't he? Prove identity beyond reasonable doubt. Case dismissed. Still, the clip circulated online. Debates erupted. People dissected frames, examined shadows. Some swore it was the suspect. Others insisted it was staged. Comments filled message boards. Is this justice or cover-up? Evidence that the legal system couldn't or wouldn't see. Years passed. The suspect returned to public life, smiled at press conferences, reclaimed their old status. The ledger was long forgotten, sealed in archives. The victim's memory faded from headlines. But late at night, when the city sleeps and the cameras are off, whispers travel through corridors of power. Whispers that some debts never die. They just wait to be called. Tonight, I ask you, as shadows gather and the past stirs, do you believe the right person was acquitted? Do you believe the judicial verdict served justice? Or is there still someone out there, anonymous and untouchable, pulling strings from behind the scenes? If you want to dive deeper, watch the archived interview tapes. Follow the money trail. Examine the evidence yourself. Do it, because in this world, truth doesn't always wear a mask. Sometimes it hides behind the most convincing alibi. If you enjoyed this story and want to explore more chilling cases like this, dark, twisted, and unresolved, hit subscribe to join the Midnight Crime Vault. The night is long, and we're just getting started.